Welcome everyone, this is Kerjims channel. Now we are back to our episodes of two semi-erotic reactions and comparisons featured by League of Legends versus the Mobile Legend Bang Gang. But before that, please like and subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click the bell icon so you will be notified to our new next episode video. Let's do this!
Many believe the spirit of Janna was born out of these prayers. She started small. Sometimes sailors could see a bright blue bird just before a healthy tailwind pushed their sails. Others could swear they'd hear a whistling in the air as a warning just before a storm. As the word about these rumors spread, people noticed the blue bird more often. Some swore they even saw the bird transforming into a woman with pointy ears and flowing hair. Soon, people started decorating their ships and building shrines, hoping they would be rewarded with even better winds. Eventually, everyone agreed upon a name for this wind spirit: Janna, an ancient Shuriman word meaning guardian. As more sailors believed in Janna and made increasingly bigger offerings to gain her favor, she grew even stronger. Janna helped explorers traverse new waters, blew ships from dangerous reefs, or even wrapped sailors in warm winds during cold nights, while pirates, raiders, and others with ill intent were punished with harsh winds and storms. Janna took great joy in her work. Whether helping or punishing those who deserve it, she felt happy watching over Runeterra's oceans. For ages, the western and eastern oceans of Valorant were separated by a single strip of land. In order to move from one side to the other, the sailors had to go around the tip of the southern continent. Most ships had to make huge offerings to Janna for strong winds that could help them on the dangerous trip. The fathers of the trade city built on the dividing land grew tired of watching their ships disappear on one side in hopes to see them on the other in few months. They hired the most innovative scientists to use the rich chemicals they recently discovered in the area to create a massive waterway that would unite the oceans. The word about the canal spread across the entire Valorant. Sailors would no longer have to go through the dangerous waters. The time of the transportation would be reduced, and they would even be able to transport perishable goods. It would bring a big change. With the canal in place, the sailors wouldn't need Janna's winds to keep their ships safe. They wouldn't need to build shrines or watch stormy horizon for blue birds. Their safety would no longer depend on unpredictable force, but instead their own innovation. And so, as the construction progressed for decades, Janna fell out of favor. Her shrines grew old, and hearing her name was rare. Janna felt herself weaken and her powers fade. When she tried to summon the winds, only a light draft would arrive, and if she transformed into her bird form, she could fly for few minutes before needing a rest. She meant so much for the people only few years ago. This is how easily legends can be forgotten. Janna was saddened by her slow decline into irrelevance as the canal reached its completion. The opening of the canal was a huge celebration. Thousands of Chemtech devices were placed across the land. The city fathers gathered for the ceremonial igniting of the charge, as travelers from all over the world watched and waited, smiles on their faces and pride in their hearts. The devices activated. Chemical fogs of molten rock bloomed, booms echoed through the area. The cliffs began to crack, the ground began to shake. Those watching heard a roar of water and a hiss of gas. That is when the screaming started. Till this day, no one knows if it was the instability of the chemicals or the miscalculations of the engineers, but everyone remembers the outcome. The explosions caused a chain reaction of earthquakes that shook the land to its core. The entire rock collapsed into the ocean, and nearly half of the city's population found themselves fighting for their lives. As thousands sank beneath the clashing western and eastern waters, They prayed for help. They called out for the forgotten name that yet lived in their hearts. Janna. Struck by a sudden surge of desperate pleas for aid, Janna felt empowered more than she'd ever been. Many drowned that day, but even more people were choking on the chemical clouds left behind. Janna disappeared into the smokescreen. She held her staff high and closed her eyes. Wind started swirling around her, a vortex so powerful that those who summoned her now feared that they might be ripped to pieces. Her staff glowed a brighter and brighter blue until she finally slammed it down, blowing the gas away in one ferocious burst of air. Those who summoned Janna caught their breath and looked upon the woman who had saved them. They promised to never forget her again. With that, a quick gust swept the streets and Janna was gone. Though some swore they saw a bright blue bird make a nest high atop the iron and glass spires overlooking the city. Years after the city called Zone was repaired and the shining city of Piltover was built above it, Janna's name endured in countless stories about these events. When the Zone Grey grows thick, some say Janna blows it away, then vanishes as quickly as she came. When Ken Barons bully innocent people, a fearsome torrent of wind might sweep through the alley and aid those in need. Some say Janna is a myth, an optimistic fairy tale that brings hope to the desperate, but others know better. Every Progress Day they open their windows and let Janna blow away the air of the year past and welcome the new. In the end, even those who are skeptic freeze for a second when they see the bright blue bird swooping through the streets of Zone. One recent encounter with Janna is told through a young Zonite woman. We don't know her name, but we know she is a talented artificer. She hated the injustice against Zonites. Those from Piltover think Zone is where the idiots go. People too stupid to make it in Piltover's golden towers. And to prove everyone wrong, she knew she could find a way up. One of her inventions is a prototype gear brace for people with broken or arthritic wrists. This prototype could increase their mobility and straight up make their lives easier. She used this invention to try to become an apprentice for the clan Holoran in Piltover. And she even made it to the final stage where she had to meet Boswell Holoran himself. They told her it was a formality, just a way to welcome her to the family. But when he entered the room, he looked at her gray-stained clothes and laughed. Sorry, my boy, we don't take sunrise here. He never even sat down. Occasionally, the Zone Grey would roll into the streets. This is known as the Grey Out, and unfortunately, that day was such a day. Everyone started choking with every breath. Their chests felt tight and they couldn't see past their fingertips. Those in the streets wanted to run, but there was nowhere to run to. The Grey was closing from all the sides. Those are the times the girl prayed to Janna. Not everyone believed in her, but the girl's mother told her she saw a blue bird outside her window the day she was born, and she knew it was Janna telling her the girl was going to be fine. But she was wrong, the girl thought. In the end, it wasn't fine. Couple of years ago, her mother died while thumb scraping, and the girl had to raise herself. Then, the usual. She couldn't make friends, got beaten up a lot. The boy she loved didn't love her back. She tried to study, tried to think her way up to Piltover, but she couldn't. That's when she figured Janna had forgotten about her. But the girl still kept the pendant her mother gave her, a wooden engraving of the blue bird, just in case of moments like this one. The girl sat on the wet stone. She couldn't bother looking for a bench. She took out the pendant and talked to Janna. Not out loud, of course. The people would think she was a Camburn freak, but she still talked to her. She didn't ask for anything. She told her about her day and the day before that, and how scared she was that she'll never become anything worthwhile and that she'll die down here knee-deep in the sump with nothing to show for it, just like her mother. And that sometimes she just wanted to run away somewhere where she could breathe and stop being afraid and not feel like crying all the time. And how she hated herself for feeling like she wanted to cry because others had it much easier than her. Also, how sometimes she thought about throwing herself into the camp pools of the sump. because at least then it would be over. She told Janna she hopes she is okay. She hopes she is happy wherever she is. That's when she felt the breeze on her cheek. A light one at first, but then it blew her hair across her face. It whistled loud and fast, whipping her coat in the air as if she was in the middle of maelstrom. The gray swirled before her, pushed up by a breeze that seemed to flow from everywhere at once. The fog slowly disappeared,